Hi, this is Ryan, and I want to start with the dumbest thing I've ever done with $300. I bought 8 security gadgets: cameras, a doorbell, a smart lock, the little stick-on sensors, the whole "now my house is a fortress" starter pack. Felt great about it too, right up until a delivery guy walked off my porch with a package, and I pulled up the footage to catch him, and the crisp 4K doorbell I'd paid extra for handed me a beige smudge with legs. 6 seconds to just wake up. He was back in his van before the live view even loaded. That's when it hit me. I hadn't bought security. I'd bought the feeling of security. And the gap between those two things is exactly where this entire industry makes its money. So I spent the last few weeks figuring out which of these 8 gadgets actually earns its spot on your wall, which ones are pure theater, and which one quietly does something I'm pretty sure I never agreed to. Subscribe before you watch the rest, because the gadget most people install first might be the one I'd tear back off. The box showed up heavier than I expected. 8 gadgets, 4 different brands, and enough adhesive backing to wallpaper a small bathroom. I dumped it all on the kitchen table and just looked at it for a minute. 2 cameras, a video doorbell, a smart lock that weighed about as much as a hardcover book, a keypad, a little siren hub, and a strip of contact sensors so light they felt like they couldn't possibly do anything. The lightest thing in that pile turned out to matter more than the most expensive one. I'll get to that. I started where everyone starts, the doorbell. Mounting it took maybe 15 minutes. Peel, level, screw, pair the app, watch it spin a loading wheel at me 3 times before it admitted it was online. And the first thing I noticed holding it before I even powered it on was how light it was. Hollow light, the kind of plastic that tells you exactly where the budget went, and it wasn't the housing. Then the cameras. 1 indoor, 1 for the backyard, both battery powered. Charging them off a USB-C cable on my counter, watching the LED crawl from red to green over about 4 hours, I had this small thought I ignored at the time. I'm gonna be doing this again, aren't I? I was. We'll come back to it. The lock was the one I actually enjoyed. Heavy, cold in the hand, real metal on the bolt. You twist the test throw before you install it, and it gives this solid mechanical thunk the cameras never came close to. 40 minutes, 1 slightly stripped screw, a tutorial I pretended I didn't need. By the end, it threw the bolt clean every single time. The sensors I almost didn't bother filming. Stick-on contacts for the doors, a motion sensor for the hallway, a glass break thing I genuinely forgot the purpose of for a second. Peel, press, done. No app drama, no charging, nothing. That's roughly where my assumptions started coming apart. I'd walked in ranking these in my head by price. Doorbell and cameras at the top, the hero products, the ones in the ads with the dramatic night vision footage, sensors and the lock somewhere near the bottom, the boring supporting cast. I was pretty confident about that order. I had it backwards. Actually, wait, let me put that better. It's not that the cameras are useless, it's that I'd bought them believing they'd prevent something. And a camera doesn't prevent anything. It's a witness that sometimes shows up 6 seconds late and describes the suspect as a tall blur near the hydrangeas. Here's the part nobody selling you these wants to say out loud. The gadgets that actually stop a break-in are the cheap, boring ones. A bright motion-triggered light, a deadbolt that's genuinely hard to defeat. That's what a burglar reads from the curb in about 4 seconds. The cameras are for after, for insurance claims and that grim little ritual of forwarding footage to a detective who never calls you back. I spent the most money on the part that matters least at the exact moment it counts, and I don't think I'm the only one who did. So that reframed the whole project. The question stopped being which gadget has the sharpest picture and turned into something quieter and a lot more irritating. Which of these 8 things is doing a real job, and which one is just present, decorative, a blinking light that makes me feel watched more than it makes anyone else? And once I started testing them with that question in mind, standing in my own yard after dark, slamming doors to trip the sensors, timing how long the live feed took to load while a friend pretended to case my porch, the distance between the marketing and the reality opened up fast. One of these 8 gadgets failed a test so basic I ran it 3 times because I didn't believe the result. Another one passed everything I threw at it, and then did something with my data I'm certain I never topped agree to. And the doorbell, my hero product, the thing I literally led this whole video with, I'm not convinced it belongs in the top half at all. That's what's actually at stake here, not which one's the best, which ones are real and which ones are just keeping you company. The test that broke my brain a little, that's where I want to start. Night, backyard. I had a buddy walk up to each camera from about 15 feet, hood up, normal pace, the most generic person approaching your house at 11 p.m. footage you could possibly ask for. Then I pulled the clips the next morning. The budget indoor cam? Fine, recognizable. The expensive backyard one, the 4K one, the camera whose entire reason for existing is detail, handed me a glowing orange blob where a face should be. I zoomed in on my phone, standing in my kitchen, actually saying out loud, that could be anyone, that could be me. And the reason is physics, not luck. 4K is resolution. Resolution is not light. A sensor about the size of a grain of rice squeezing video over Wi-Fi at maybe 1 or 2 megabits because that's all your connection feels like it giving you after dark. That big 4K number on the box means almost nothing. You're looking at a smear in a fancier container. I ran the test 3 times because I was sure I'd messed up. I hadn't. So, hero product number 1, demoted on the spot. Then I went to save a clip, and the app asked me for money. Not once, a subscription to watch footage that my camera sitting on my property recorded of my own porch. The plan that's actually worth having, longer history, the features that make the thing useful, runs about $20 a month. 20. Spread that across a couple cameras and a doorbell, and you're looking at well north of $200 a year, every year, forever, to reach video you already own. The hardware was the down payment. The footage is the mortgage. I sat there doing napkin math, and the math is brutal. In about 3 years, the subscription costs more than this entire pile of gadgets did. For storage, the exact thing a $30 memory card would do for free if the company would just let it. This is where it tips from annoying into, wait, that can't be right. Because while I'm digging through the fine print, figuring out what's free and what's behind the paywall, I find the toggle that made me set the phone down. Buried in the settings, not off, on, was a feature quietly enrolling my camera into a system where my footage could be requested and handed to law enforcement. A second toggle, also already on, running facial recognition. Now, okay, that's not entirely fair. Facial recognition has legit uses, but I didn't ask for scan and remember every face at my door. I bought a doorbell, and somewhere between unboxing it and eating dinner, it had started building a little database and signed me up to share it. I want to be really clear here, because this is the part that got under my skin. This wasn't a setting I turned on. It came on by itself. A camera I bought to watch my own front door had quietly opted into facial recognition and a footage sharing pipeline, and the only reason I caught it is that I read the menus most people scroll straight past. You're probably thinking you'd have noticed. Maybe. I do this for a living and I almost didn't. That's not sloppiness on your part. That's a design choice on theirs. And it's not one brand doing one creepy thing. The further I dug, the uglier the pattern got. There have been real documented incidents where a glitch let thousands of people open their app and see thumbnails, in some cases live feeds from cameras that weren't theirs. Strangers' living rooms, strangers' front doors. The precise nightmare you bought the camera to prevent, except this time it's leaking from inside the company itself. I obviously didn't reproduce a server bug in my kitchen. I can't summon that on command, so grain of salt on me personally recreating it, but no grain of salt on it being real. It happened, more than once, to more than one brand people trust by the millions. So now I'm holding an expensive camera that can't identify a face in the dark, charges me rent to watch its own recordings, and quietly signed me up for things I never agreed to. Meanwhile, that $12 stick-on sensor on my back door has done its single job, silently, every time, asking for nothing and phoning no one. Oh, and the lock. The handsome one, the fingerprint pad, loud. Every unlock, it announces itself with this little servo whine you could hear from the sidewalk. Charming on day one, A lot less charming once it clicks that a security device broadcasting, "Hey, someone's coming in," has the priorities exactly reversed. I started this planning to rank some gadgets. I came out the other end a little bit angry. Okay, verdict. After all of it, the orange blobs, the subscription mortgage, the toggles that flipped themselves on while I wasn't looking, here's where I landed. 6 of these 8 gadgets are worth owning. 2 are theater, and the ones I'd actually fight to keep are the cheapest, dumbest things in the box. If you take one thing from this entire video, make it this. The order the industry sells these to you is almost perfectly upside down. The boring stuff is the security. The exciting stuff is the paperwork. I'll get specific because buy the boring stuff isn't actually useful on its own. If it were my $300, and next time it will be because I'm redoing my own setup off the back of this, I'd spend it almost backwards from how I did the first time. First 50 goes to a bright, motion-triggered floodlight over the entry points. Not smart, not connected, a dumb, blinding light that snaps on when something moves. That's the best deterrent per dollar in the whole category because a burglar reads it from the curb and keeps walking, and it has no settings menu that can quietly betray you. Next chunk goes to the lock, and not the chatty fingerprint one. A real deadbolt, the kind with an actual security grade stamped on the box. There's a whole rating system for this. The good ones survive 250,000 lock cycles and laugh off a hard kick, and the gap between that and the pretty Amazon special is the gap between a door and a polite suggestion. The genuinely surprising part of this whole project was how good a proper deadbolt feels in the hand, that cold, heavy throw, next to how hollow the smart features turned out to be. The contact sensors stay, all of them. $12, no battery anxiety for a year, and they do the one thing a camera physically can't, tell you the instant a door opens, whether or not anybody's watching a feed. The cameras, it's complicated, and I want to be fair because at first I genuinely wanted to chuck both of them in a drawer. Then I lived with them for a week. Actually, let me revise that. I don't regret owning a camera. I regret which one and how I let it store things. A camera that earns its spot looks like this. Records to a card or a hub I control, lets me kill the cloud and the share with the neighborhood stuff completely, and doesn't hold my own footage hostage for $20 a month. And I know exactly what a lot of you are weighing right now because I was too. The big name kit everyone recommends, the one with the slick app and a name you've definitely heard. It's not garbage. That app was the smoothest one I touched, full stop. That's also the ecosystem doing the most aggressive stuff with police footage sharing and default on face recognition, while charging the steepest rent for the privilege. Smooth app, heavy strings. A quieter brand that records locally and leaves you alone trades away some polish and hands you back control. For me, that's not a close call anymore. The two I'd cut, the 4K camera that goes blind at night, replaced, not just removed, by something with a real low-light sensor and a smaller number on the box, and the fingerprint lock that narrates my arrivals to the street. Pretty is not a feature. One more thing, then I'll let you go. If nothing's actually wrong right now, no break and scare, no live problem, there's a real case for waiting a beat. This whole space is finally shifting toward gadgets that talk to each other across brands instead of trapping you in one app for life. And that's happening right now, not someday. Buy in a panic today and you might be the person rebuying in a year. I keep saying wait like it's lazy advice. What I really mean is don't let one scary thumbnail in an ad stampede you into a $4,000 mistake. So that's the honest version. Light over logos, locks over apps, local over cloud, and off switches over features that turn themselves on. If this saved you from buying the wrong 8 gadgets or talked you into peeling one back off the wall, no judgment, I did exactly that. Do me a favor and subscribe. I'm putting every one of these through a 6-month beating next. Real weather, real use. And I'll tell you which ones quietly fall apart and which ones actually earn the spot. I buy this stuff with my own money. I keep the receipts, and I'll tell you flat out when I get something wrong. That's the deal. I'll see you in the next one.